Hi everybody, this is Stephen Welliver with PMI Arizona, and I think I had told you once before that we're going to start doing some featurettes that help us as a property management company explain to you as tenants and landlords things that you need to think about that are important to you when it comes to what are you going to be looking for when you become a landlord and what's important as a tenant. Well, today we're going to be looking at one of the first mistakes that I think a lot of landlords make when they first become landlords before they put their first tenant in place, and that is insurance. So I'm here with Suzanne Bovaird with Bovaird Insurance, and rather than me try to explain it, I'm going to bring it to the experts and let them handle what's the difference and why is it important to really kind of look hard at your insurance policies before you start moving tenants in.
Great.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Steve, for the opportunity. Welcome to our agency. So today what we will talk about is a homeowner's policy versus a landlord policy, and there is a difference. A homeowner's policy is when you're the primary owner and you have the insurance policy for your home. But what we're talking about today, if you're investing in a rental property and you're renting it to other people, that's what's called a landlord policy, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. First, when working with Steve and Jennifer Welliver, it's important as an investor when you are looking to rent properties is just put in your plan an investment with a property manager. Anymore, the insurance companies are requiring that you have a property manager available for your property. If you live 100 miles away from your rental, then they really ask that you have a property manager or somebody assigned to watch your home. The investment in a property manager we find, and we talk to clients, is one, they'll interview your potential renters for you. So there's a professional process that happens. They're your presence, your professional presence as the owner. They could do background checks for you. One nice thing that's so important on a rental property and for your risk as a homeowner is yearly inspections on the property, and that can all be built in as you hire a rental property manager. Another thing that's an important part is maintenance on your home. Maintenance is important as you live in your own primary home. You can do it as you're there, you know what's needed, and you take care of it. When you're away from your rental property, that becomes hard. So if you have a professional property manager taking care of that for you, they can do yearly inspections and take care of that maintenance as it comes up and you need it. What we also would want to talk to you about the different coverages that you have to take care of. And one is liability coverage. Liability coverage on a landlord policy is what's called premise coverage, premise liability coverage. And it's for your protection as the owner if you're held liable for something that occurs at your rental property by the tenants or someone visiting. So that's really important coverage. And as an insurance agent would want to monitor for you is that you have enough coverage to take care of that risk for you. There's levels of $100,000, $300,000, $500,000 of liability insurance. There's medical coverage that's attached to that. So as a professional, as an insurance agent, we would look at that for you and make sure you have that covered for yourself and your family.
Before we go farther on with that, why is it important to change from a homeowner's or owner-occupied insurance policy to a landlord policy? Why is that the big thing to look at?
That's very important because if you're on a homeowner's policy, which is again where you're the primary resident of that, and a claim occurs, you're actually in violation of that policy.
If you have a tenant in place.
If you have a tenant instead of yourself. So when you move to renting out that property, it's important that you talk with your insurance agent to move that policy to a landlord policy because it's different. Another part where it's different from is loss of use. So loss of use and loss of income. On a landlord policy that we're talking about today, if a claim occurs and your tenants have to vacate the property because the home is being taken care of or redone, the loss of income that you're experiencing, you can claim that on your landlord policy. So there's a loss of income.
Rent that's being lost because you had to send them to a hotel or whatever because of the damages, things like that, that's income to the landlord. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's exactly.
Perfect.
So that's loss
Great.
of income to you as the owner because of that claim that's taken care of. What we also like to talk to owners, and this is where a property manager can be helpful for you, is to have some requirements. And one is the requirement of renter's insurance. Again, with a homeowner's policy versus a landlord policy. A homeowner's policy has built in for a primary owner is coverage for your personal property. But over on a landlord policy, when you're renting it out, you don't need that personal property coverage because you really have a landlord policy is going to be taking care of the home itself. It's going to cover for a claim, and if a claim occurs on the actual physical property. But for the items inside the home, that's actually the tenant's responsibility, so where they're covered is in a renter's policy. So we would encourage you that you just require that renter's policy as a condition of their lease. Another high-risk area when we have to underwrite for a landlord policy is vicious animals. So as part of a lease agreement that you negotiate, you need to consider vicious animals with dog with bite history or animals with bite history. It limits who we can place you with. And so when there's limitations, there's higher premiums.
Now, I do know on the vicious dog side, there are a lot of protections in Arizona protecting landlords. However, that's something that you definitely want to talk to a lawyer about, simply because what the law considers an aggressive or vicious breed and what insurance companies consider that might be different. It's not necessarily, they don't necessarily coincide. They're not always the same because an insurance company is thinking about their personal business risk as opposed to what the law is trying to look out for. So that you would want to talk to a lawyer who understands tenancy law.
Perfect. Great. There's another advantage of having a property manager watching that side of it for you. Another high-risk area that you'd want to consider is trampolines. So trampolines, again, limit insurance policies, and then that limits where we can place you.
They're a lot of fun, but they're huge on liability.
Liability issues there. We talked, Steve and I, about just some incidents that occur where it's important that you do have somebody monitoring your home. We had a client that when they got into the home, they tried to get in a year and a half. They were managing it themselves, finally got in after the tenants left and the house was vandalized. Well, not even vandalized, it was their maintenance of the home that was, the carpeting was bad. It was all maintenance issues, right? So an insurance policy won't take care of that. If they would have been proactive and had yearly inspections, they may have been able to catch those problems, you know, not down the road when it had already gotten so bad, when they had to replace it.
Now, PMI Arizona, we do quarterly inspections and go in and basically inspect the properties, take a look for things, and we're looking for any sort of bug infestations, critter infestations, anything like that that could cause damage. We're looking for those minor leaks ahead of time when we can try to